It's now my pleasure to bring to us Honorable Ndindi Nyoro to address us this evening. Hallelujah. Let's clap for him until he arrives. Glory to Jesus. Karibu sana mheshimiwa. Amen. Amen. Take it on from there.
Thank you very much, my brother, Reverend Silas Owiti, and the leadership of Christ Center, and all the people who've come today to have this conversation. Good evening. Bwana Yesu asifiwe. Kenya oye. Kahawa sukari oye. KU oye. Nawaona sana. I want to confirm that we've been friends with Silas. There's some echo. I think there is another mic that is on. Okay. All right. I have known Silas since my campus years from KU. And not just Reverend Silas, but also his brother, Martin Luther. We were actually year mates with Martin Luther, and Cyrus, I think, was ahead of us by 1 year. And I also want to confirm, Reverend Cyrus are those kind of comrades, you could tell they are headed to the pulpit. You know, sisi bado tulikuwa mchezo kidogo ya siasa, ya biashara. Lakini Reverend Cyrus walikuwa wale watu too straight to be a comrade. And I could tell you'd be where you are. I mean, it was so evident. Kwa sababu kienda CU, sisi tukiwa pale backbencher, wale wako hapa na mic ni akina Cyrus. Tukipata wageni wa preaching, wenye wana welcome ni akina Reverend Cyrus. And also the brother followed suit, but the brother was also a politician. And he actually was also elected in the student leadership in KU. I am a member of parliament for Kiharu, as you know. And before we get to the money issues that brought me here, allow me to appreciate that I am very grateful to be serving the people of Kenya in that capacity. And just two highlights. Majority of you here have some relationship with KU and other institutions of higher learning around. And education is a very primary tool in transforming society, not just socially, but also economically. And I say that because most of what I do as a leader is geared towards making quality education accessible to as many people as possible. And that is why in Kiharu, from our first term, Kiharu is a very large constituency and is also very near Nairobi. Because from here, ukitoka hapa saa hii, 45 minutes utakuwa Murang'a. Even yesterday, jioni nilikuwa Murang'a. Between there and here, we took less than 45 minutes. And the point I'm trying to drive home is that it's a large constituency, though it's a rural constituency, to a large extent. So we have around 112 public primary schools. And all of them, without exception, all public primary schools in Kiharu, watoto huwa wanakanyaga tiles chini. Tiles. I know some of you are Bontao, so you are wondering, oh, so tiles what now? But ask Cyrus and some of us what the rural schools look like, or used to look like. Secondly, we have a program called Kiharu Masomo Bora, which I'm very proud of. Very, very proud of. And we have 65-day secondary schools in Kiharu. And out of those 65-day secondary schools, we have around 12,000 learners in them, in the senior secondary. And the school fees in Kiharu, for all the scholars, whether you are from Kiharu or otherwise, just as far as you attend school there, school fees is only 500 shillings per term. The rest we handle using Kiharu and GCDF and the program itself, including some people who found the program and they came to support us. And they learn us it in school from Monday to Saturday. Bila kulipa extra money. And the last Friday of the month in Kiharu, they actually eat chapati over lunch. And I'm not talking about ile ya kupikwa na machine. Unajua sisi wanasiasa za ingine lazima tuna clarify. This is a program that has been ongoing for an entire of this year, and I am glad that all the UGA we have been using this year tumepewa na mtu for the entire year. And the coordinator for that program ni huyu jamaa ako hapa anaitwa Richard. Who was also in KU and did economics. And as you all know, kama comrades wa KU, ni kama SI unit. That ukitoka KU, unakula madodo ya KM, ukisha graduate, unakaa Wedani. So, actually what happened, nyumba nilikuwa nakaa hapa Wedani karibu na ACK, without knowing, Richard also akaenda the exact house akakaa huko. So nyinyi watu wa KU mkigraduate, jaribuni munaenda nje kiasi bana. Nani nawaambia tu lazima ukae Wedani. Lakini nakaaga ndio part of orientation. Now, I want to go to the topic of today. And I have requested, Reverend, that we also try to maximize time for interaction in terms of Q&A. And we'll also have a short interview with the Reverend Silas. So I'll go to the issues. There are others that we may cover during the interview. Interview will be more of the soft side. So I'll go to the real issues now. And I have segmented this discussion into exactly how you requested me in terms of the title: financial stewardship, entrepreneurship, and building sustainable wealth. The beauty about that topic is that when I get stressed, you know, ukiwa siasa unafanya kazi saa ingine, you have to overdo in terms of, it's not as straightforward as doing business. So, mimi nikipata stress, I know most of you read novels. Ama unafanya mambo ingine ya hobbies. Mimi my hobby, nikishika Forbes magazine, stress huwa inaenda chini. Ama Fortune magazine. Or anything around money. But you also look very close to that also, by the look of your foreheads. And by the look of your eyes. And by the look of how eager I see you are in this topic on money. So, and as I start with financial stewardship, I want to give some reflections. One, as a leader. Two, as a businessman. But also number three, as a Christian. Because those three things are also very close to my heart, and especially the last one. Whatever we may do out there as leaders, as business people, so that tuelewane tukienda mbele na hii topic, I am one of the person who knows that Ndindi Nyoro is nothing without the blessings of God. So when I reference many things around there, it is because it's what I believe in and I have witnessed. So when we talk about financial stewardship, the number one issue for me as a leader is that financial stewardship, so money, resources, wealth, one question is, how and from where? How do we make money? From where? And I believe that Vile Biblia inasema saa ingine kuna pesa unaweza tafuta lakini inakuja na mabawa. Wewe unatafuta inaenda. I have seen firsthand that there is very deep joy in making so much money, but also making it the right way. Because whatever money you may make, which you cannot sleep at night because of how you got it, then I don't think it was worth it, even going through that process. So that issue is important as we think about money. How do we get money? Is it by changing the world to be a better place? Or is it by having us reflect as the people who should actually not be existing around other people? So that's one question. Second thing, there is something I've been thinking about, really, and I was reflecting this with another friend of mine. And I'm saying that because you guys are future leaders also, and some are current leaders. So you find that when it comes to the management of a country, people are so obsessed in making money. And making money is not a bad thing. That's why we are actually talking about it today. But we become so obsessed that there is a very thin line between being a public officer and also promoting your business using the same power that you've got bestowed unto you by the people. And then I want us to ask ourselves this question. You are elected as a member of parliament, as a governor, as even a bigger position. So your preoccupation becomes looking for money at any cost. And by the time you are elected as an MP, or even that higher position, you already have money. Maybe that's the reason why you actually ventured into it, because it's an expensive venture to a large extent. So you already have money to live off, to be comfortable. So let's reflect. What is it that, or why is it that when people get positions of leadership in public office, the preoccupation becomes looking for as much money as possible and breaking the record of the person you replaced, and in terms of making money? Why is it so? And I think the bigger problem is about inheritance. We do it because, yes, we have enough, but we are possessed with some fear within us, the leadership especially, that you ought also to make money for those who are after you, and especially in kin selection, family members. So you are actually not looking for money for you to spend. You are actually looking for money by then for your heirs to also live off and supposedly live a comfortable life. But is that usually the case? That's the reflection I want us to have. So that as you venture into leadership, you know, there is no better way of judging the future but by the past. Let's evaluate. How has the past been? Who told you that you make money so that we bequeath? You make money by especially taking public resources so that we bequeath, or you bequeath to those who come after you. I mean, what is the reasoning? Are you confirming to the world that your heirs, your offsprings, are not as intelligent as you, that they can actually make more than you? And let us reflect, all of us in this hall, those who are working. And I can attest, especially kama we sio mwanafunzi, wenye wanafanya kazi na biashara, most of us are doing better than our fathers. Most of us are doing better than our mothers, economically speaking, financially speaking. It means, for example, my father was a carpenter, living in Kiadutu slums in Thika. Now, even before I ventured into politics, in terms of whatever you owned, most of us, your net worth was already higher than your father's net worth. So it means you have actually surpassed your father. But your father was in a situation where he could not even be obsessed to look for wealth because there was no means to do that. So the point I'm driving home is that we must have a generation, all of us, that believes that the next generation may actually do better than us. So we don't need to steal for them because they'll have more of their own. Let's go back to the Bible. And I can't purport to preach when Reverend is here. Because I don't want to embarrass myself. But because we are Christians here and we are people who also read the Bible, look at the Old Testament, because when you read the Old Testament, and I've read the whole Bible myself, not once. When you read the Old Testament, you realize one thing. Part of what is called blessings is actually wealth. From Abraham, coming all the way, anywhere the name or the word blessing would appear, it actually also meant ng'ombe mingi, kondoo mingi, shamba kubwa. That time was the measure of wealth. So it's not bad to look for wealth, because many times it's actually quintessential to blessings. But let's just zoom in to the people we read, our fathers in the Old Testament. And I'll cite two to represent all others. So we read about Jacob. Jacob was whose son? Yani, Ati? Isaac. Kwa sababu mmesoma what I'm just about to say, I just want us to reflect. Was Jacob a rich man afterwards? He was a very rich man. Si mnakumbuka ile story yake na kuoa na Laban, his father-in-law. You remember that story? And that gets me thinking, sisi wanaume wa siku hizi ni kama hata hatuumii sana tukioa. Wale walikuwa naumia mbaya. Yaani unaambiwa to work for how many years? And then ukienda kumaliza unaambiwa aje? Unaongezwa ingine, si ndio? Now look at it this way, because this is a reflection I want us to have. Jacob ultimately became wealthy. The father, yes, was wealthy. But the wealth we read about Jacob is not more about the inheritance, but much more about, when you read a story where, yes, Laban alikuwa anataka kumpeleka hivi hivi, but the guy was praying. So there is a story about alikuwa analinda ng'ombe, less than a mbuzi. Na wakaenda wakameka pact na Laban about ile itakuwa na kama hii shati yangu iko na maua, hiyo ndio ya Jacob. Si mnakumbuka hiyo maneno? Then because God was on it, what happened? It was practically impossible biologically kwa hizo ng'ombe ama the cattle for them to actually bear offsprings ambazo zilikuwa zinakaa hii shati yangu, because most of them zilikuwa za rangi moja. But because God was on it, he caused hizo tu the cattle ama hizo hao wanyama wa hiyo the same kind wakaanza to go against the biology that Laban was using kupeleka Jacob hivi hivi, na zile zilikuwa assigned kwa Jacob ndio zikaanza kuzaliwa na zikakuwa hata more. Kwani hamjasoma hiyo story? Usikae ati naongea kitu hamuelewi. Because sijui utakuwa unaniambiaje about Reverend Silas. So, can you just imagine that? Huyu ni mtu, the odds have been put against you, totally. Yani, the odds are totally against you. Unauza shamba, lakini umewekwa pahali kwenye, no one is interested in buying those shambas. But in that situation, you actually thrive more than the person with the highest advantage. So that's what happened. But this is the point. He never inherited. Purely what we read about, the genesis of his blessings, was about God being in it and about his own lifetime and the wealth that he got himself, not the one he got from the father. Read about the story of Solomon. The father was equally very rich. Who was the father? He was very rich and wealthy. But look at the story you read. He got wisdom, knowledge, understanding from. If you go through, there is very little about what he inherited. It is about how he became so wealthy, but out of the blessings directed to him, not the ones he tapped from his father. Yes, there was a lineage, but if you look at Solomon and what we read, is about the money he made, not the money he was given by the father. So, I have been reflecting even about our own country. And I don't, because these are families, I will not name names. But try to look at the most prominent politicians who were here in Kenya, who held high positions and clearly took advantage of public resources. Some may actually write very good biographies and autobiographies, which is directed to you as a reader, but not exactly telling the truth. But try to reflect the ones you know. Yes, they accumulated, got so much. Oh, so that the family will live off it. And no one associated with them atapata shida. Some very big family names. In their second generation, they are already in poverty. Yet their fathers accumulated so much out of the public coffers. Some, even without naming names, have been presidents. We see their grandchildren fundraising on social media. What does that tell you? It tells you, do good when you are given a position, because it's not your business to take care of the people who come after you. The same way you get your own blessings, they will also have a direct link to God to get their own blessings. Yes, you can look for money and give inheritance. I'm not dissuading you from that. But it should not be at the expense of you taking money that was meant to build a hospital so that your kin can live off it. That's what I mean. Yes, tufanye kazi kwa bidii, but especially when we get an opportunity to serve in the public office, let's be good stewards of that money. There are two stories as I come to the conclusion of that subtopic. The Singapore we talk about has a neighbor not very far away called South Korea. Mnashika? Niko sawa hata. Sana maji. Ati mnasikia nchi gani? Hizo nchi mbili. Listen to this so that we see wherever you are serving, doing good to the country is not inadvertently, is consequently also doing good to yourself and the people who are totally associated with you who will come after you. This is what I mean. Kenya gets independence in the 1960s. South Korea starts the journey of economic development at the point where they are at the same level with Kenya. We are talking about 1960s. Now listen to this. A grandchild of Singapore, out of selfless leadership of Lee Kuan Yew, out of the selfless, dedicated leadership, which was totally devoid of patronage of taking public money for self-aggrandizement. Now, as I start before you, a Singaporean grandchild is 50 times richer than the grandparents. On average, let me repeat, a Singaporean grandchild is 50 times richer than the grandparent. I'm not talking about Lee Kuan Yew's grandchildren. I'm talking about all Singaporeans. Because their economy has gone up in terms of per capita income by 50 times. So a grandchild just being born in Singapore as a grandchild of somebody there, you are 50 times richer than your grandparent. How rich are you from your grandparent? So the point I'm trying for us to interact is this. Lee Kuan Yew did well for Singapore. If you go to Singapore, you'll not be shown farms and big, tall buildings associated with him as a person. There is only one house which he owned where he lived, which maybe you can be taken to see. You will not see many things that are associated to him or his family. But consequently, the grandchildren of Lee Kuan Yew are 50 times richer than him, just like all other grandchildren in Singapore. Their GDP per capita, their income per capita is much larger for everyone, not just his children. So, his grandchildren do not need to live in an oasis of opulence where every other person is poor. They live in a country that is wealthy and everyone is doing well. So healthcare for them is better because healthcare for Singapore is better. Transportation for them is better because for everyone it's better. Education there is better, just like for everyone is better. And therefore their life expectancy is even higher because for everyone is higher. Doing good to the country, consequently, he also did good for his own grandchildren. The same case for South Korea. South Korean grandchild is 4,000% richer than the grandparent. So 40 times again. 4,000% is 40 times. That's a South Korean going about their business, working for Samsung, working for Hyundai, doing their business, doing whatever they are doing. A grandchild is 40 times richer than the grandparent. Not an oasis of General Park, who did very well for the economy, but everyone in South Korea. So the grandchildren do not need to live in a place where they have built high fences. Every other person is like them, 40 times richer than the last generation. So we must cultivate ourselves, all of us in this hall, wherever we are serving. You are an engineer somewhere. You are building your 27th flat in this Nairobi. Who are you building for? Yes, continue building if you are building it the right way. But you are an engineer. Your father never needed to be an engineer for you to be one. So your son can be governor, which is even higher than the engineer you are, for example. So what I mean is, we don't need to be obsessed by accumulating ati tunaaccumulatea watu wengine. Accumulate, yes, in the way through production as you work. But you don't need to kupita na hii speaker, na hii microphone. Hata hii maua unapita nayo. At you are accumulating. For who? The people you are accumulating for will not even have the speaker. They will own the company that produces the speakers. Entrepreneurship is where I am now. That's the second thing. And I'll give you a short story. A short story of a mtu fulani akagraduate hapa KU. Mnajua KUCC? Akafanya graduation bash hapo KUCC. Because alikuwa amepata tu pesa. Unajua alikuwa student leader, anafanya biashara. So akona tu pesa ya kufanya graduation bash KUCC. So the parents came. Vile tunafanya graduation, kila mtu anatoka shags na mna course jam hapa hivi Thika Road. So parents wakaenda hapo KUCC to celebrate the graduation of their son. Then the son takes up the mic and tells the parents and the friends, you go pray for me not to get a job. Mkienda nyumbani muniombee sana ndio nisipate kazi. I'm talking about myself. When I graduated hapa KU, maadhe wakakam hapo. Najua parents wanajifungulia mapema kule shags. Na wakuja na marafiki. Na unajua graduation inakuanga kama Thursday, Friday hivi. So that hiyo Sunday, pia your mother aende church. Seme, I just came from Nairobi. My son Otieno was graduating. He's now an engineer. So, they come, ati your mother anataka aende church Sunday kusema, kijana yake aligraduate. Na ana time, within a few months, bado ataenda chama, aseme, you know my son Cyrus now is an engineer with Safaricom. There's no parent mwenye hapendi hiyo. My daughter works with the Equity Bank. He's now working with Microsoft. My son is now working with Meta. Atajua hata Meta ni nini. Facha Facebook. Ndio aulizwe Meta nini, aseme, you know the owners of Facebook. That's where my son works. Si kila mtu anapenda hiyo. Mimi nikafanya hesabu nikaona nilikuwa na goals mbili. Moja ni kutajirika. Ya pili ni siasa. Okay, ya pili is to be a leader. I'm just trying to be diplomatic. To be diplomatic. So, wazazi wakakam. Mimi nikawaambia, unajua ukigraduate you are the chief guest. Watu wengine wakiongea, tumesomesha Wafula na shida mingi sana. Hata high school mnajua aliachwa na fees balance kubwa. Vile hata baba yake alifutwa kazi, mzigo ikakuwa yangu kama mama yake. Na mzee pia anasema, I knew this boy is bright like me. So, nikafanya hesabu nikaona, history yote, ati my son works with Safaricom, my son works with Meta. Nikaanza kujiuliza, hii Meta, mwele yanianza, wazazi wake wanasemaga nini? Why can't we elevate this discussion there? Instead of works there, we elevate it. Owns. Na nikafanya hesabu nikaona, hii safari ya kutajirika, hebu tufanye hesabu kwa mind. Unajua nyinyi werevu hata hakuna haja ya kumwambia mtoe simu. Nyinyi already yuko kwa akili yenu. Umepata kazi kama fresh graduate. Utalipa pesa ngapi ukipata job saa hii? Yaani umeangukia, umetoka KU direct, umekuwa branch manager wa bank hii ya Unicity. Utalipa pesa ngapi? How much? Yeah? Gapi? Pana manager. Sisemi, nasema yani umeangukia. Yani wewe unatoka tu hivi kama fresh graduate umekuwa branch manager. Mpaka classmates wanakuja wanauliza, kwani nimepotea? Wakikupata ati wanaambiwa head office ya manager, wanapata ni grievance. Wanamuuliza, grievance unafagia hapa ama ni nini? Unawaambia, no, I'm the manager. So ukiwa manager ni pesa ngapi? Tuseme 200, sio? 200. Tuseme hata hujaelevate maisha sana, unakaa hapa tu around. Kwenye tu tulikaa after KU, unakaa KM ama hapa. Everyone starts there, even me. Tulianza hapo sisi wote. Haya. So hujaanza kujifanya manager ati unahamahama. Bado unalive kama comrades, ndio? So unalipa rent ya how much? Yeah? Unalipa 70 kwani aje? Yaani nyinyi comrade wa siku hizi mnalipa rent ya 70k. Hiyo ilikuwa rent yetu sijui ya hori ama ni nini. So let's say tuseme unalipa mshahara ya 200,000. Okay, let's be honest with each other. Una matarajio nyumbani, utume kitu because anyway umepata job bank. So hauna option na hauna reasons ya kusema sijui nini. You are the branch manager. So unasaidia your sister kidogo, home kidogo, unalipa rent, unakula, juu si lazima ukule lunch kama manager. Tuseme hata hujanunua gari, bado unajikaza tu ile kikomrade. So tuseme una save a whooping 100,000. Una save yote ya 100,000 every month. una save 100k. So mwaka hiyo ni pesa ngapi? 1.2 million. Miaka 10 hiyo ni pesa ngapi? 12. Mtu who graduate akiwa miaka ngapi? 24. Na wenye wali repeat class 8, 25. Na kuna wale kwanza wana repeat wakifuata form 4 wana repeat form 3. So huyo na graduate at 26. I can see you here. We see you. So haya, miaka 10 uko how old? Na uko na pesa gapi? Haya, after 15 years, hiyo ni pesa gapi? Hebu fanya, hiyo inahitaji simu. Sidhani AI imefika hapo. 15 years, utakuwa umesave how much? Kuna kitu inaitwa ceteris paribus. Holding all other factors constant. So usiseme ati mshahara inaongezewa, tunajua. Lakini vile unaongezewa hata value ya pesa inapotea. So unajua inflation. So tumelock time. Tumelock time because ukiongezewa mshahara hata rent ishaenda juu. So umesave how much after 15 years? 18, si ndio? Ama ni 15? 18. So uko how old? 40, sio? So umesave 18 million. Sasa hata ndio unatokea kwa raia sasa. You've been working, Ndio unatokea kuuliza huku kuna idaga aje sasa. You've been working all through. So ukitokea na ka briefcase yako ya 18 million. Very rich. You are 40. Sio? Sasa ukuje kutafuta proti. Uende hapa kwa sukari. Proti ni pesa gapi? Kuota hapa kwa sukari ni how much? 14, 15, si ndio? Hiyo ni poa juu utabaki na 3 million, So kwa hiyo pesa hujanunua gari, I hope unajua hivyo. Yaani wewe ni wale watu walikuwa kama sisi, watu wa kusave pesa mpaka sijui namna gani. So you have a protein kawa sukari na umenunua gari ya 3 million. Na pesa imeisha. Sasa tuko hapo na uko 40. So tuanze now from there. So kwanza ulikaza hata kuoa. Juu sasa sawa, mwenye anataka kuoa inue mkono juu, lakini saving yake tuiondoe 100k tuipeleke 50. So miaka sio 40, sasa ni 55. Sawa. Haya, wewe uko na bibi, tumekupea heshima. Lakini 18 milioni yako inafika ukiwa 55. Sasa ndio unatokea kwa raia. Ukakuja hapa sukari, mnauza protein namna gani hapa? 15. You want it in cash or can I deposit in your bank? Either unampea na briefcase. Then you realize pesa imebaki kwa briefcase. Unaweza iweka huku kwa koti na ishe. So hata ile briefcase unampea. So unaenda pale Mombasa Road, Kiambu Road. Lazima ununue gari sasa ya 3 million. Hiyo ni gari gani sasa? X5 ya 3 million ilikuwa ni ya salvage. Ama wewe ni dealer. Haya, unanunua gari gani ya 3 million? Premium, ndio ipaki kidogo ya mafuta kustabilize namna hiyo. Ndio pia ununue leather ya kuwekelea kwa viti. Na ununue ile kakitu watu weka hapa kwa kakioka kuswing ukiwa kwa gari. So pesa imeisha. So umekuja na premium, proti yako iko pale Taveta Road kwa sukari, ama pale Murang'a Road, Masabit Road, hapa sukari. Na umepark. You are 40. You have a car, you have a prot. Briefcase haina kitu, imeisha. That is the nature of employment. That is the nature. Even if you drive the car next day, it's okay, but it will be on loan. So you'll be paying it even more costly than ile tumenunua Kiambu Road saa hii. So nikaona hii hesabu mi kwangu haigiani. Juu mi nataka hii dunia either I make it ama hii dunia tuvujavuje tu. So nikaona hii story ya kuajiriwa hapa mimi hata nijitoe. Why? Unajua kuna vitu tulikuwa tunaita elimination method. Elimination method inatumika kwa njia yote. Msijifanye hamjui hata kwa answer ya exam. Hata ukidate kuna elimination method. Si ndio? Mtu anaongea sana mwenye shout. Hey, that guy was shouting to us in that forum. Kwani anafikiria yeye nani anatushautia hivyo? Kuna watu hawapendi kushout nini? So kuna elimination method. Nilikuwa nasema nini? Ndio nileta hiyo story ya elimination. Elimination method. Nikaona kuna pahali pale inaitwa kutajirika. Na iona iko pale. Na sasa niko hapa. Nikaanza elimination method. From here to there naona kuna mto na ni kubwa. So hapa nitavuka mguu? Hapana. Hata gari haivuki. Inataka either ferry ana canoe ama nijenge daraja. So unaenda ukieliminate from here to there. One of the routes nikaona from me na wealth pale. One of the ways I eliminated very fast is to get a job. But you think that is the easiest. That's what you all think. Because you are looking for a job, I can see. And because you want it so much, you just want a job. Kwanza ni stabilize kidogo. You know you can't just graduate and alafu uanze biashara. You know, anatuambia history yote. You need capital. Sawa, hata si tulikuwa hivyo. Nikigraduate KU, sinakaa hapa kawa wedani hapa. 2 rooms. Sio 2 bedroom, 2 rooms. Ile washroom ziko nje. Nikaweka kasaiba. Because niliona wacha ningangane huku kabla macho ifunguke, because one of the ways nimeona hii story yangu sifiki pale ni employment. Kungangana. So I'm telling you this. If you have an ambition to get wealthy and you still have an ambition to get rich, to get a job, you are confused. Choose one of them. Because 2 are mutually exclusive. How will you know I did economics? Si lazima ni drop kitu kaa hiyo. Unajua mutually exclusive ni nini? Yaani venye nimesimama hapa na wewe siwezi simama hapa. Yaani one has to give way for the next. There is no way you can still get a job and get wealthy at the same time. One of the two has to give way. What you do with that information is up to you. So, si ati ni easy. Niliumia sana. Juu unaona, jamaa mlikuwa na yeye amepata job PWC. John amepata job Equity. Mary, classmate wako mwenye alikuwa kwanza ni wewe unamuonyesha statistics. Amepata kazi Kenya National Bureau of Statistics. Sasa unashangaa kama ni mimi nilikuwa namuonyesha statistics na amepata kazi Kenya National Bureau of Statistics. Si hii Kenya Bureau of Statistics ikuwe yangu basi. So unakaa kila mtu darasa yenu. Mnapatana, huyu ana drive, this one became a teacher, this one is a lecturer in a private college. They are driving. Unagoja math. Those temporal wins must never confuse you. Those temporal wins. Temporal, they have temporal. Because ukianza biashara ni kama kutafuta spring. Wewe, kwetu tunasema oraruti ya diti. Yani, unaona venye tunasemanga, on your marks, get set. Have you ever asked yourself, mbona hatuambiagi on your marks kama tumekaa hivi? Kila time lazima ukae hivi. Si unatafuta nguvu ya kukupush mbele. So hizo tumashida unapata hapo ukitafuta job na usha graduate na haipatikani is the same. Hiyo ya on to your marks. Unatafuta nguvu huwa inakurusha. Mwenye alikuwa anakuambia mafanya job bank nini, kwanza unaendaga hiyo bank ya your classmate after mambo imekuwa sawa, unamwambia hebu niangalilie balance. Unaona your former classmate na kuangalia hivi, am I looking at the wrong account? Na sasa hiyo hata hutaki pesa, unaenda tu hiyo absa your classmate anafanya job 3 years after you graduated. Yeye alipata the first year after graduation, wewe ukangangana kabiashara yako ya IT kameanza kuigiana. So unaenda hiyo bank, hata kama line imekufikia. Unajua venye unapaga line bank na kuna cubicles imekufikia, lakini unaona hauendi kwa your classmate, unaambia mwenye ako nyuma please pass. Unaenda, hey, habari gani? Oh, you got a job here? I just wanted to check my balance. Then anashangaa, what's up? So what am I trying to say? Getting a job and getting wealthy, those are two parallel statements. Choose one, not both. They are parallel. Haya. Then what do you look at? I just give a few points. Sasa sitakuwa na story mingi. Unajua hizi story ndio pia tukiwa comrade ilifanya tupate kura. So ungeenda tu naambia comrade power, please vote for me. Ulikuwa unaanza hivi, yeah, we just need to press the admin. We want mess. Chakula ikuwe inajaa vizuri na tunalipa pesa kidogo. So msinilaumu hizi tu story mingi. So ukifanya hiyo story nimesema, kitu ya kwanza, interest yako ni nini? Ni hiyo. You know me, I was born an artist. Me, I am just born an actor. I'm very good in this. Sawa, tumekubali mtu wangu. But history ya biashara differentiate between interests, hobbies, and commerciability. Those 3 things. You rarely get money, make money out of your hobby. Rarely. You rarely make money out of your hobby. So hobby yako ni yako. Wewe sasa tumesikia uko na hobby na tunaheshimu. Lakini sasa fanya hesabu. Whatever you are selling, if it's not commercialable, so to say, if you cannot make it a product for people to see value in paying you, to give you it, then wewe weka hiyo hobby kado, sasa tafuta biashara. So don't confuse those things. Yes, we love and doing what we love, you know, okay, fine. Even me. Everyone. But hapa kwa biashara, money is not subjective, money is objective. Money does not listen to the heart, money listens to the mind. So engage your mind on the business you want to do. Can I commercialize this product? Can I commercialize whatever it is that I want to do? So if you see your hobby is not aligned, you can still have your hobby and your business. You have that capacity. It's not a must you combine both of them to be one thing. Second thing, whatever business mimi nataka kuanza, can I scale it? Naweza ikuza. Can it become bigger than me? So that, can I even have a bigger market? Our brothers and sisters who I saw their companies here as sponsors. Whatever it is you are doing, wewe unatengenezaga hii pot ya ua, but you only use your hands. So the only way to scale it is to employ more hands. Okay, it's a good business, it's fine because we need pots. But see whether you can actually make so much money out of it. Because if it's a hands that you are using, na umeniajiri kutengeneza na mkono, So who am I ati nishajua kutengeneza nikae tu hapo kwako? Nitaweka tu hapo kado ya kwako na mimi nianze biashara yangu. Because there's no scalability. You making this pot 1 or 10 of them, the cost is the same. Scalability, what it does, it embeds economies of scale. Anything you cannot embed economies of scale, it means its scalability is not an advantage. But many times you also confuse that. I'm a doctor. You cannot scale kuona patients. Because only 2 eyes, 2 hearts, and 1 mind can see a patient at a time, is it? Wewe ni doctor. I'm a dentist. Hata kama ulipata first class as a dentist, kukuja watu 10 kwa your practice. Unaweza sema wewe ulipata first class, unawatoa meno wote 10. Is it possible? Sio possible. Law, you are a lawyer. How many unaweza enda mbele ya jaji wangapi at any given time? But many times you also confuse that we can't scale these businesses. These are businesses that you can also scale. So don't confine yourself. My career is not scalable. It is scalable. In fact, if you go to the US, there is a law firm called Morgan & Morgan. Morgan & Morgan is a law practice. Law. Sharia. Because he was able to scale, you just need a formula. You don't need to be the one doing it. Scalability means other lawyers can also be part of your Morgan & Morgan. That guy is now worth 1.5, 1.6 billion US dollars. A lawyer. There is a dentist, in fact, I'll give you the name, called Rick Wackman. He's a dentist. What did he do? Alianza kampuni inaitwa Heartland Dental. Akaona dentistry, there are some processes that are similar. So he was able to come up with standards, with charges. Can you imagine this? A dentist practice, ikompaka na private equity funds, other investors. But the founder, who you Workman, is worth 1.5 billion US dollars. A dentist. So whatever it is that you do, everything can be scaled. Everything can be scaled. But you also look at, there are things that are actually more scalable than others. Because if you are Mark Zuckerberg, his platforms are much more scalable than you can scale the 2 I've given. Yes, we need all of them for the world to function properly. But who told you your work here on earth is to make the world function? Your work is to make money. Let the other one make money. Mpatane kwa uwaja. The world will sort itself. I'm sure you've gotten those people who tell you, me, I just wanted to do medicine. I'm very sympathetic. Me, I just love this. Hii dunia nani alikupea hiyo kazi? We are talking about money. So me, I'm not talking about those other things. Those considerations, there are better people to speak about them. Me, I'm talking about money. Haya. Ukifanya hiyo biashara, dunia inaenda wapi? Hiyo ni point number 3. Where is the world going? You may be busy building a factory for typewriters. The product you are coming up with, the world left you long time ago. I don't know where you are, unless you go back in time to sell your products. Maybe you can get a train ticket to take you back in time. I don't know where those tickets are found. So be in tandem with time in terms of the products you are coming up with. The other thing, dynamism. In everyone, hata mwenye akona biashara hapa. This is even more to the people who've already in business. Businesses are always dynamic. You'll be surprised. The big companies are no longer manufacturing or offering the services they were offering when they got started. Unless you are a food company like Coca-Cola. Food never have a lot of variations. A lot of technology is in the process, not the product. Coca-Cola hiyo ya kitambo yenye Maguka was taking is the same way I'm taking. Food industry is okay. Let's reserve it. All the others, you realize companies, you know a company called Nokia still exists. I know you don't think so. Because you just thought Nokia is about phones. Nokia is making a lot of profit nowadays. But you actually don't even know what they do. Because it's so technical. You don't even care. Their clients is not me and you. Their client is Safaricom, Airtel, and the rest. What they do, tusiende hapo, tutachoka mapema na nasikia kuna chai after this. If you look at a company like Equity, wakijua Equity, walikuwa wanaenda, wanakaa hapo kwa queue. Nowadays, when is the last time you were in a bank? You don't even remember. It's not that you don't have a bank account. This is your bank. Do you know Safaricom revenues? If you study their financial statements, Safaricom tulikuwa tunajua ni ya habari, hello. Then, after that, SMS. Check their revenues. How much money is coming from your phone call and from SMSs? The company metamorphosized. That business you are in can get the same trajectory. This is what happens in business. If you look at the Forbes list, majority of the top 20 is first generation money. First generation money meaning new products. The world, by the way, I think, Cyrus, you did very well to invite me today. No wonder the other prior dates never worked. Because I'm coming here today to speak to you about money when the world has set a history today of having the first trillionaire ever, called Elon Musk. Tumpigie makofi hata kama. Sisemi 1 trillion ya Kenya. You know, naweza anza kusema trillion ufikiria na mambo ya national debt. Mumenizoea na hiyo story sana. Hata hamuskini nini, nasema Elon Musk na nyinyi mnafikiria naongea mambo ya national debt. He's the first trillionaire ever. First trillionaire ever. I know you watched yesterday's game. And I know majority of you were from Mexico. I know. Me, I was for South Africa because Africa is always our business. But Elon Musk was born in South Africa. Can you imagine that? Out of a South African father and a Canadian mother. Went to the US today. First trillionaire ever. Si pesa ya Kenya. Ukitaka ikuwe ya Kenya weka times 130. Meaning 1% of his money can pay the entire deficit in our budget. Ikuwe sasa Kenya, hii budget ya sahi hatukopi. 1%, I mean, umeenda shop na mia, naongea mambo ya hiyo shilingi moja tu ndio ikuwe 99. So it's scratching the surface. Look at his businesses. Tesla nyinyi mnafikiria ni kampuni ya magari. Yeye haoni magari, yeye anaona technology. Because these people are clear-minded, businesses are dynamic. But the point was this. All the top 20 list of Forbes, first generation money, so meaning new ideas. Yeye sio hata one idea. Sasa zingine wachani guys. Hebu tuweke siasa kando kama wa Kenya kwanza tufikirie hii story leo. Unajua saa ingine tunapenda siasa sana. Which is good because we are shaping our country. Hebu kwanza tuache siasa pale nje. Mumekimbia nje mumeacha hapo. Sasa tumerudi Hebu chukua huyu jamaa. He's the CEO of Tesla. Tesla. A brand known worldwide. He's the CTO, I don't know what, CFO, I'm a CEO or whatever, of the company that was listed today called SpaceX. What is he doing? At taking people to Mars. Ati akona over 8,000 satellites zina supply internet pahali kwingi duniani. Akona kampuni ingine inaitwa Boring Company. Ati goal yake ni atengeneze kama kitunnel from here to Mombasa, huku unafika Mombasa like in a flash. Huyu mtu akonomo. Listen to the fourth one called Neuralink. When you read these guys, you actually realize we need to think bigger. We need to break some casing in to block up hivi. At Neuralink ni nini? At making chips, tukue tunawekwa kwa akili, tuna coordinate na computer. Kampuni already valued at many billions US dollars. Already. This guy is the main actor in all those companies. Main actor. I'm not saying an investor. Here is the answer. Hii PayPal mnatuma nayo pesa ilikuwa some of his companies akianza na akina Peter Thiel. PayPal. Now that technology is so archaic for him. Mars is better. You're the Mars. Ati goal yake, ati we go to colonize Mars. Colonize Mars, na tutafute sasa rockets zinapeleka watu every day Mars. Atuambie fare ni gapi haraka haraka. Naona kuna Wakenya wengi sana wanataka kupotea waende Mars. Huko hakuna housing levy. So, ebu siendelei kabla mfikirie. Ebu fikiria just you now at your biggest worry as here. Sijalipa rent. That's your biggest worry. Niko na exam Friday. Hata si next Friday. Friday are the next 2 Fridays ndio una worry uko na exam. Kwanza ni exam ya nini? Story tu hapo, theoretical tu hapo. History. Hiyo ndio inakupea stress. Kuna jamaa hapa analala 4 hours a day. Akona Tesla. Hata ikitengenezwa kioo lazima pass because aesthetics ikuwe mzuri, technology. Anapeleka watu Mars. Boring Company, Neuralink. You know what hatuhesabu X, hii Twitter, hiyo ni others. Don't you think, guys, we need to break some casing in to block up? Ukienda majamaa wa pili ni wale wa Google. First generation money. Meaning, hii kitu 30 years ago, Google ilikuwa wapi? There was nothing. Jamaa 2 came up. Now, number 2 and 3 ni hao. Jamaa mwingine anaitwa Larry Page. Kama hata hatujajua computer ni nini, ako kwa ma softwares. Kampuni mingi tunatumia huku, hata university, bank, stockbroking, Oracle. So, at least huyo, na wote sijui ni nini wako na kakichwa ngumu kiasi. Kama huyo amenunua a whole island. Hawaii. Si Juba. Island. So ati huko ndio nyumbani. Sani yake ndiye alikuwa ananunua, walikuwa wana bid to buy Warner Brothers pamoja na Netflix because the son is the owner of Paramount. When I think about those things, ladies and gentlemen, I actually also think we need to change some thinking. As we also push our leaders to do their best in politics, we also devote a lot of time in thinking about things. Unaendelea hapo, Yule mtu unapata mzee ni Warren Buffett. Yeye ni investments. Lakini si ya inheritance first generation. Hiyo inakwambia about versatility ya biashara. The reason why most of the richest people on Forbes list are a first generation, it tells you zile ideas za kitabu haziko hapo. It means there is something called constructive destruction. Najua hamuandiki notes, lakini andikeni hiyo, unaweza tisha mtu nayo. Constructive destruction. There is a technology that comes to disrupt so much, inaondoa vitu analog, inaipeleka bali, inazirusha. Because this other one is more superior, even for us as human beings. Take for example time to remove from analog TV to digital. Tukaleta shida. ICT minister then was Matiang'i. Kasema hapana, lazima tuende digital. Tukasema hapana, sisi hatuendi. Do you see sometimes the things we resist? Sasa juu tulikuwa tunakataa analog, siuende ununue TV analog basi. Watch nayo leo bole ya leo ya US. Utakuwa unaona mchezaji pale anakaa hii maua. You don't recognize hawa ni wa US na hawa ni hawa wengine by the color. Unaona moja inakaa maua, lakini hii ingine inakaa bump ya barabara. This business you do as a hardware is supposed to give you in-depth knowledge about the products you deal with. It's not supposed to for you to remain there as a hardware. It is supposed to give you some insights so that you do backward, forward, vertical, horizontal integration. Ulianza hardware 20 years ago. Na ni hiyo tu hardware. It means beyond money, you are not learning much. So do something around the things you deal with. The knowledge you've gained is so important. It should be making you more money. Unaona Safaricom wenye wanafanya, wanaona tunaenda sasa hatutumii kukol sana, ndio hiyo M-Pesa. M-Pesa inaenda, tukienda hivi sijui lipa na M-Pesa. Ikienda hivyo tena, sasa watakuja I'm sure next ni kutap. Kama bado haiko, itakuwa naenda super. Wataona tunasumbuka sana kuweka pin. Maziwa nini, unatap tu unaenda zako. Safaricom. Hiyo kutap. Pale kwao pesa inajihesabu. Efficiency, metamorphosis, versatility, dynamism. That's the nature of business. Even the one you are doing. Don't say, oh, me I'm in property business. Kujenga hoteli, watu wanakuja wanakaa. No, it's okay to do that. Maybe you can do more than that. You know, a country like Finland ndio ya Nokia, Ndio ya Nokia. Mnajua kutengeneza machinery, hiyo story ilitokea wapi? Ilikuwa nchi based on forestry. Kukata miti. So, they needed, sasa wamekata miti sana na axe. So they needed another technology ya kukata miti. Machinery came za kukata miti. So out of that machinery, there is something called complexity in an economy. Wakakuwa sasa more inclined towards machinery za kukata miti. Out of that machinery and out of progress ya hizo machinery, ndio sasa waka move to technology. Metamorphosis all the time. Hizi kampuni zote nimetaja hata ziko Forbes. There is none that is doing only the reason why it was created. Even Walmart. Sisi tunajua Walmart, yes, it's a family business. It's the second generation now and that generation. Sam Walton alikuwa na shop kama hii iko hapa. Kama hii Quickmart iko hapa hivi. Sahi ni Amazon within Walmart. But even beyond that, another disruptor called Amazon came. Now it's even ahead of the Walmart itself. A startup. Every time when businesses do not learn to be dynamic, Hii dunia hakuna mtu anakupepereza. Kuna tokeaga kamjamaa, kanaanza startup, kana kurudisha geshagi. Building sustainable wealth. Sasa hiyo, that's the last subtopic. So, what is the space of active and passive business or investment? We need money to make money. Can you just think about that paradox? Ati mtu anakwambia ati you need money to make money. Where will I get the money to make the money? You know that story of a chicken and an egg? So unauliza mtu, how can I invest? By investing money. Where do I get the money? You get money when you have money. So where do I get this money that makes the money? So of course all the time we start with active. That's the money that makes the money. You can't just wake up and say, mimi naanza investments leo. Okay, so what are you investing? You need to be active to at least make the money to make the money. Higher. That is what I was talking about entrepreneurship hapo juu. So Miss Rudi. So passive. The beauty about investments, hii ni kitu naonaga tuko na a lot of advantage. Me, I don't even need to know. Hizo stories zote za SpaceX. Acha jamaa mwingine aende apate headache. Launch rockets, zingine zina bust. Launch zingine ana make loss. Mimi nakutegea tu hapa kwa investment. Nawekelea tu hapo. SpaceX hata nikiwa na share bili, mimi nisiniona wa SpaceX. Na mimi I don't need to atikuji stress. Uko na share ya Kengen. Na the last time ulifanya hydro, hizo vitu za hydro ni ukiwa high school venye tunaendaga trips kuona hydro dams. That's the best engineering you have. But uko na share ya Kengen. Wacha jamaa mwingine ajisort. Uko na share za Equity. Non-performing loans, kuna watu hawalipi loans. Tunataka kwenda Kongo na hata huko tunasikia kuna Ebola. Fine. Let somebody else do that work. Wewe unaenda hapa NSC, wewe unawekelea. That is one thing I like about investments. That it gives you an opportunity to share in the success of the genius of others. Elon Musk wacha yeye amuke saa 9. Afikiria vile Tesla itakuwa sijui cheap ama nini. Wewe amuka saa 2 nunua shares zake. Yes, baby atakuwa mrich kukuliko, lakini hatakuacha sana. Kukiitwa mikutano mtakuwa mnakaa tu. Hata kama uko stand row, mtakuwa in the same hall. So beyond the founder, beyond the active, the opportunity to invest in other people's hard work, ingenuity, genius is the most profound thing that I love about investments. And that is the reason why in this forum I will not talk to you about investing land, shamba. Because what have you done about the land? Unless you show me one factory that is manufacturing land, then I will take you serious. Uniambie kuna kampuni imewekwa Syokimau, kazi yake inatengeneza shamba. Lakini kama tu ni hii iliubwa na tukaipata. So what have you done to it? Nothing. So there's nothing you can do to it if there's nothing you have done to it. The much you can do is to build what? A house. Okay, what have you built in that house? Mawe umetoa wapi? Darugo. Umeimanufacture? Hapana, umefanya nini? Kukata tu. Na mchanga ulitoa wapi? Kwa mto. Ulitengeneza mchanga wewe wapi na mashini gani? Oh, now cement. Oh, cement inatengenezwa na nini? Limestone, clinker. Zinatoka wapi? Kuchimba tu. Do you know sometimes it's so humbling to realize that us human beings are so limited. We think we know so many things, lakini when you think about Hifrat iko hapa next, Shamba, no one manufactured it. Tulipata. Mawe imejenga, tuliendea tu darugo tukakata. Mchanga iliendewa kwa mto. Cement ilichimbwa limestone na clinker. Iron sheet, najua mnataka kuniambia na mabati, ilitoka wapi? I don't know ilitoka wapi. Sometimes I think about those things and I realize there is absolutely nothing for a human being to be arrogant about. We know so little. Can you imagine? Hiyo miaka yote tumeishi, hakuna mtu hivi moja amejua to manufacture just one brick. The much we do ni kumix vitu ama kukata. Kwa mjengo mzima ile nyumba yako unaishi. Everything in that house. Spoon. Hiyo ni nini? Ilitoka wapi? Carpet, guo, cotton. Cotton ni nini? Do you realize everything in your house is only two things? Either a plant or a mineral. Mineral mafuta ikiwa hapo. Can you try to check in your entire existence, in your office and in your house? Is either something that you can trace to a plant or something you can trace into a mineral? Anyway, those are besides the point. Nilikuwa tunataka hiyo ikuwe break. Because I realized the other things zilikuwa zinawakalia kidogo. Kwanza hapo kwa Niro ikiwekwa kitu hapa niliona hiyo story hamtaki. So investments. That's why I'm not talking about land. I'm neither talking about buying government boards and bills. And I'm not talking about fixing money in the bank. Because what's that? That is the basic level of thinking. That's the lowest as an investor. Yani, wakati mwenye, you don't want your brain to get tired at all. Those are the options you take. You don't need to think, I'm guaranteed. I'm buying a government board. Kabla government default, hata Kenya maybe haitakuwa. So mimi sitaki kujisumbua akili, chukueni hii milioni yangu, si ati mnanipea 12%, ni sawa. We must think beyond the ordinary. Even what I'm telling you is not very extraordinary. Niko tu hapa hivi, but at least ni better. Shares, investing in companies. Me, that's what I really advocate for. Next time in a seminar like this, you can call sasa wale watu wa fixing, na boards, na treasury bills, and I promise I'll not come to disrupt them. Because I'm sharing my opinion. Why? Because as I said, what is a company? Capital, technology, entrepreneurship. Nowadays, those are the major ones. So mnakumbuka tukisoma business kwa high school tulikuwa tunazita what of business? Factors of business. Land, labor, capital. The fourth one, entrepreneurship. I am hoping our syllabus changed. I hope you are not teaching high school at least these factors of production. Which lad is Zuckerberg using? Which lad is a factor of production? So, the reason I see investing in a business is something profound. I'm investing in capital that is already deployed and has proven to be working. I am investing in technology which does not need to be through my head. Hata physics hukupita vizuri. Meaning story ya technology wewe hauko. An opportunity is provided to you to invest in the highest level of physics. Somebody else is anasubuka akili huko. Entrepreneurship. Maybe, I don't know whether there are those kind of people. Maybe you console yourself. Yes, he talked about not getting a job, but who will end up working in this company? You know the way we rationalize in this kind of a talk. Yes, aliongea vizuri, lakini hizi kampuni nani atafanya kazi? Hiyo kazi nani alikupea? So what I'm saying is, if you console yourself that way, then an opportunity is given to you to invest in other people's entrepreneurship mind through investing in a business. Those three things to me are very important. Capital has been proven to be working. Because by the time you're investing in a company that is a going concern, by the time you have one Safaricom, there are other 6 Safaricoms that collapsed, which you never came to know. By the time you are having one Tesla, like BYD, the one for China, BYD is a winner in the electric vehicles in China. Tens of BYDs, in quotes, collapsed for BYD to be what it is. Because it was a race of competition. So, investment gives you an opportunity not to lose your money in the other BYDs that collapsed, because you just go to the BYD that worked. And then, it eliminates from you the founders who were frivolous. This founder started yake ikazama, huyu akaanza yake haikuwa na soko, huyu akaanza akakula pesa. The market sorted that for you. Eliminated all that, presented to you the BYD that worked. That is why I invest in companies. Then you do research, because there are many that are listed. Just imagine how profoundly advantageous this is. Unapewa opportunity. By the time unaanza weka hardware hapa, inaendelea vizuri hapa, kuna watu kama 10 umeweka wakifunga. By the time unaweka biashara ya kuuza miti pale bypass, pale Kamakis, kuna watu wameuza miti hapo ikakauka wakaenda. You has worked. So dunia eliminate hizo zote, imekupresentia the ideas that worked. And even within those, because you are the investor, bado uko na maringo. Okay, kuna 60 companies listed in the NSC. So by the time they are listed, it means they are the winners. Kuna mingi zimeanguka in the same sectors. But you are still having a choice. Out of the 60, I want to go for the best. That is the kind of opportunity investments give you. So you check the companies. I want to highlight 2 things. You need to check when you are buying companies. And me, I'm talking about the ones that are listed. Public companies. Zinaitwa PLC. Publicly listed companies. Unaangalia sector. Sector gani hapa inafanya biashara mzuri? Unaangalia finance. Hata hakuna finance, banking, insurance, agriculturals. With your phone. Zile vitu zote unajua, huwa una browse. Una browse Facebook hivi for 30 minutes. Ukiulizwa na mtu, wewe kati simu chini, this is a piece of paper, write what you are scrolling. If you have all that time to scroll Facebook and you actually can't write one sentence after 30 minutes of scrolling, then get some time to actually Google about some investments. Check investments. Check the companies listed in the NSC. You can ask Google anything. Siku hizi juu ya Gemini yao wanakupea ile washa kufanyia AI. Wanakupea yani chakula wewe ni kumeza tu. Yani mtu ameenda amewinda ng'ombe akaichija akaichoma akakukatakatatia, you went even further, akakutavunia, anakupea tu umeze. Mimi naona hapa ni wengi tulifanywa hiyo madizi na wazazi wetu. Hiyo kutavuniwa madizi. No wonder you are so intelligent. Like your fathers and your mothers. So, you check the sector. Only two things I'll tell you me what I use mostly when I'm investing in shares. I look at something called, I keep talking about it. I hope you'll not nickname me those two things. One thing is called PE ratio. Price over earning ratio. And I'll repeat this thing to you until you all do it. To be honest, me, I don't want to make money out of NSC alone. I don't. And I'm honest and I'm serious. I don't want to make money out of the Nairobi Securities Exchange alone. Because there are opportunities of hugely undervalued companies. Companies that you are buying for a fraction of what its worth is. So PE ratio measures what? If you bought this flat, it go up next. Was you 100 million? And that flat has 10 million in rent per year. How long will it take you to recover your money? 10 years is the PE ratio. PE ratio measures periods. How long will it take you to recover your money using the previous net profit? How long would it take you? Yani huongezi rent na umefunga nyumba na hata kama haikuwa na watu wawili wameoccupy, hata hizo nyumba hukodeshi. So the last previous rent ndio unatumia to gauge how long. So the last previous profit of the company. Ebu toeni simu. Ebu uliza gogo yako hapo. Just ask it. Ask your gogo hapo. What is the PE ratio of Standard Chartered Kenya? Standard Chartered Bank Kenya. Na mkifanya unainua mkono unasema there could be a price after this of 2 samosas. Zile samosa tuliambiwa Reverend will buy you 2. Unafanya haraka, nataka tukimbie. Yes? Kuja. Come. Utatuambia hiyo top ulibuy wapi? Come my sister. Yes, come. Haya. Somebody to Google this. What is the PE ratio of Equity Bank? Somebody haraka. Usitoke kwa hiyo page. Kuja hapa come here huko nyuma. Haya, somebody else to do. What is the PE ratio of Kengen? Yani hata hukacurate. Yani Gemini ndio imekuwa advisor wako sasa. Kuja my brother huko nyuma. Unaka Albert Einstein hata. Haya. Msicompare. Hii si exam I am wax. It should be different. So if you copy, you are copying the wrong question. Haya. What is the PE ratio of Kenya Power? Somebody do that for me. Haraka. Come. Uja bro. First of all, as you come, please give somebody, come bro. Somebody tell me what PE ratio is through what you understood. Hata na Kiswahili, talk even in your language. What did you understand what PE ratio is? Somebody? Patia huyo. Yani layman's terms, useme uli understand aje. Yes. Huyu anajua hata kuwasha mic. Ampatie. Kwanza anatumia ya Reverend. Leo tarana na viatu.
Good evening. In my own understanding, price to earning ratios is how long it will take you to recover the amount you invested on something.
If you base on net profit,
Yeah.
Okay, the only discounting here is, we are talking about shares. The company may not pay you all the profit they make. So when you're doing the P ratio, you have the demeanor of a person who is buying the entire company. And all the time you are buying shares, never buy shares like you are buying shares. If you want to buy the right share, buy the share like you are buying the whole company. That if you're given the opportunity to buy all of it, there is so much value for you. So that's how you look at it. Somebody else, how you understood. In your own language. You can even use an example because I want this to sink. This side. What did you understand P ratio is? And don't tell us, either P or primary. Either physical exercise. Yes. Don't even use technical terms. Say how you understood it.
So based on how, I hope you can hear me. I've understood it. Let's say, for example, if you're to invest 3 million in a matatu, and it gives you X amount per month, the P ratio is how long will it take you to actually kujazilia for the 3 for the period of years. So the period of years is the P ratio.
Very good. Makofi. Mimi naona ni kama kuna mtu aliwafunza vitu na wafunza bana. I think ningekuja tu na exam, ufanye tu exam mara moja. Haya, unasema what you are doing and you. Wewe ulikuwa unafanya which company? Na wewe? Wewe? You? No, utamaliza. Anza huko. Huyu wa Kenya Power anaweza zima stima, wacha kuya wa mwisho.
All right.
Haya.
Praise God. So I was handed the Kenyan. So it says the trailing price to earning ratio for Kenyan is approximately 5.7 times. This indicates that investors are willing to pay about 5.7 times the company's annual earnings per share, making the stock trade at a discount compared to the broader renewable energy sector's average PE of around 15.2 times.
Hey, huyo hata amefanya holistic. Unajua wale watu tulikuwa tunaambia right composition about going to Nairobi. Then you actually write about even going to London. You've done very well. Very, very well. So, the other ones now will only say, because to me understand the concept, ni hii sasa my brother amesoma hapa. But sasa atasema to the number. Sasa mnaelewa what it is.
So my question, it was, what is the PE ratio of Equity Bank? So Equity Bank current price to earnings, that is the PE ratio, is about 3.9 times as of June 2026. Yeah.
Very good. Ebu tuambie, what do you, in terms of a flat, what does that mean? Flat, yani kununua nyumba hapa hivi.
In terms of a flat. So, for example, tukona, tuseme this is a flat. The D3... Thank you. The D3C flat, right? So I've invested in this flat. I've decided to buy some shares. So in order for me to receive the month that's supposed to be earning hapo, it's going to take me like 3 times 3 points. Okay, actually, ndio ikue more, itakuwa 4 because it's a 3.9, which is a marginal area of 0.1. So it's gonna be like 4 times 4 like per annual for me to get the shares.
Mutajuaje. Very good. So it will take you 4 years.
4 years, yeah.
Yani umebuy flat hapa, itakutake 4 years urikabe pesa ulilipa, na flat ibaki ikiwa yako. That's the thing. Let's go on.
I was looking at Kenya Pipeline Company, and the PE ratio is 22 to around 22.2.
Or do you invest there? Very good. Nyinyi mnaelewa hii mambo hata sijui mliniita kufanya nini.
So I was working with Stewardship Bank, Kenya, I believe, because there's global and Kenya. So I stayed both them. So for global, that's the parent, Kenya. So it's 6.8 times to 10.2 times.
Actually, it's around 10. Yeah, 10 to 12 for Kenya. That's the Standard Chartered Bank. Higher. Kieni.
I was working on KPLC. It's approximately 1.21 to 1.23.
Wachaji kujifanyisha haya. This lady, tell us what you understood. Because, yeah. Tell us. Unajua nikiwa hapa I can point to you, so be attentive.
Check.
So what I understood by that is that when you buy shares in KPLC, let's say, for example, let's call it a flat. Let's not say it. Let's call it a flat. You'll buy it at, let's say, 1.4 million today. And for you to get that 1.4 million, you just need to stay 1 year, something like that. 1-2
Very
years
good.
there.
You've said it.
Yeah.
Actually, 1 year, 1.2 years. So in these companies, basing on P ratio, which one would you buy? Which one? Which one can't you buy? Si mumejua story ya shares hata kuniliko sasa. I can actually tell you, Kenya Power share is cheaper now than I bought when I bought. I was buying one share at 1.8 shillings. But the company was making losses. Now the person buying today is buying at 15.5 shillings. But the company is making huge profits. What do I mean? The company is now more even cheaply valued than when the share was cheap. I don't know whether I'm making sense. You buy a flat at 10 million. But the same flat is giving you a rent of 1 million. How long will it take you? Yeah? 10 years. Now you buy the same flat. Mambo imebadilika, imepakwa rangi, imewekwa tiles, nini. The same flat, you buy it at 50 million this time. It's more expensive. But it is giving you rent of 20 million a year. That is the analogy now. Of the two, either you're 10 million or 50 million, which one would you rather buy? That is it. Now, ya mwisho, the last formula I want to leave you with. Utakuwa unajifanyia kubuy shares. Inaitwa price to book value. Unaweza weka P of a B value. Just that. P of a B. And it applies to all companies, but more in banks. It measures this. Book value, mtu amekuja amefanya surveyor, quantity surveyor, amevalue hii flat iko hapa next at 100 million shillings. Na tumekubaliana na imewekwa kwa file. Hii flat ni 100 million. But wewe utokee na mwenyewe akuuzie na ukubali 150 million. Between wewe kununua na mwenye anauza, you who is the buyer, are you buying at a discount or a premium? A flat book value yake, yani surveyor amesema hii flat value yake mzuri ni 100 million. Na imewekwa kwa drawer. Wewe umekuja na umewekelea 150 na ukauziwa. Umeibuy na premium ama discount? Premium, si ndio? Na ukibuy na 70. Here 150. So what you do price to book is 150 divided by 100. What is that? 1.5. So you've bought at 50% premium. Mimi nawafunza vitu ndio hii dunia isikukalie na mahesabu. Mahesabu wanasemaga ni gumu, lakini hapo nini gumu sasa? 150 divided by 100 is 1.5. So he 0.5 is 50%. So you bought it at 50%. Higher. Who was 70? Since 70 divided by 100 is 0.7. So he's buying at 30% discount. So nataka tubadilishe kampuni. Hii nataka tufanye banks alone. Stewardship, Kenya. Absa, Kenya. Equity, Kenya. Equity Bank Group. KCB Group. Na wewe ufanye kampuni inaitwa Diamond Trust Bank. What is P over B of this company? You know, when we started investing, akukuwa na hii akuuliza swali, so we had to calculate. Sasa yenu ni hapa tu. What is P over B of those companies? Let's start that side. Acha nikusaidie na mic. Tumefanya 2 banks, but you can do for any other company.
Yeah, for the Standard Chartered Bank, the price to book ratio is 1.8 times to 2.1.
Very good. Let's say summary, I'm average 1.9. So what does that mean?
This means in roughly 2 years, approximately.
Price to book is not about periods now.
It's premium.
Yes.
So 80%,
90 years.
90% thereabout
Of?
is of the
Premium or discount?
Premium.
So you may understand. And you're almost buying it 2 times. You're almost buying that for at 200 million.
Yeah, so for ABSA P over B is 1.44 times, meaning it is 45% premium.
Very good. Higher.
Equity Bank Group, 0.87.
Meaning?
Discounted at 13%.
Very good.
KCB Group, 0.45 times to 0.55 times.
Repeat again. I want you to hear.
So KCB Group's price to book ratio currently sits at approximately 0.45 times to 0.55 times.
Higher. Hata ni sawa. Who's the last one?
I was doing Diamond Trust Bank. Price to book value is 0.3 times to and 0.4 times.
What do you understand by 0.4? He flat ya 100 million. Unaibuy how much? Unaibuy how much? What you do with that information is up to you. Unaweza keti tuwapigia makofi. Very lastly, I want to interest you when you do about public companies, when you go home, study something called private equity fund and study something called venture capital. Hapa KU kuna wase wako na ideas mzuri sana za biashara, especially in tech. Maybe unaweza wekelea kitu kidogo tu kwa hiyo idea. Wewe msea create business na uko na percentage kwa hiyo biashara. The people who became billionaires, some of the people becoming billionaires today out of SpaceX listing, ni watu waliwekelea tu pesa yao kidogo kitambo sana. Sasa wanakuwa mabillionaires leo. People who ended up becoming billionaires out of Meta or Facebook, ni msee aliwekelea pesa kitambo. Kuna, for example, Google, kuna 2 professors walikuwa wa hawa founders. Wakawekelea, I don't know whether it was 500,000 then. Both are billionaires in dollar terms. Because waliwekelea in terms of a venture capital. Company grew, and as it grows, your value also grows. Ladies and gentlemen, there are opportunities for people to make money. Let us not think that the traditional ways of making money are the only ways that exist. Even in our own market, there are many profound opportunities out of the gap of information. And not always know, you make money out of the information gap. What you know that the market doesn't know and many more people don't know, that is what becomes your profit. So out of what you have learned today, I am hoping either now or in the very near future, some of us will make money out of the opportunity of knowing more than the majority knows, so that you can always leap forward. Otherwise, thank you very much and may God bless you.
So now you have the shares, you have 100, you have 500 shares. How do you practically make money? You own the company, but how does that money help you? Yeah. Thank you for that.
Wacha tukae chini ikae TV.
All right, umesikia swali?
Nimesikia.
Sawa.
And I'll be very precise.
Okay.
So you make money out of investing in companies in two ways. One is income. The second one is something called capital gains. Income means dividends. When the company makes profit, they share part of that profit to you. They reserve some for growth of the company. It's called retained earnings. That's one area, dividends. But the main reason I buy shares myself in companies is not because of dividends. It is because of capital gains. For example, what I have just shared, you buy a share at an average price of 1.8, like it did in Kenya Power. The price goes up. Today it is 15.50. And it's actually after coming down a little bit because of Iran, it was 18. So meaning, if you invested, let's say, back then 1.8 million shillings, you got 1 million shares. And you're talking about 2024. The share was around 1.8. He 2024 ya juzi. So your 1 million shares would be worth how much today? 15.5 million shillings. But you actually received dividends from 2024. And people who actually owned these shares, they've already recovered their 1.8 shillings on dividends alone.
Wow. Yeah, I bought shares in 2008 and I never went back. It was ever ready. Sahi nikisikia unaongea naona kama nilikuwa mjinga sana. Lakini I learned my lessons. Now that you are who you are today, Mheshimiwa, what can you share with us regarding your childhood that has contributed to your childhood or growing up, contributed to your current entrepreneurship choices? Yeah.
Allow me to go back to Eveready a little bit.
Okay.
When you buy shares, as I was trying to say in my presentation, always do research. Never buy shares because others are buying. If, for example, you totally went deeper, even when you are filling the application form for Eveready, I'm sure you couldn't have done it if you checked on the things that we have learned today.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why I've talked about a few companies here is because you should zoom into what has value. Out of the many companies listed, the reason you zero into some is because you have fundamentally researched. So that's why I hear some people bought Mumias, others bought Eveready. It was not a very good experience. And I hope we can apply what we keep on learning every day, including today, to make better choices when you are buying shares.
Yeah.
Companies, really, because always view like you are buying a company. Ask yourself, if Merari was selling you the Eveready company, forget about shares, would you have bought the company? If he was selling you the company, ya kutengeneza mawe ya torch, when electricity was becoming the norm, would you have bought the company? So when you buy the shares of that company, where do we want different results?
Mm-hmm.
I am going to the question. I mean, like all of us here, and I am glad that this is a place I know very well out of having been from KU. More or less, we are the same, majority of us in this hall. Maybe some of you are much better than us in terms of where we came from. So part of the reason why I had two goals, as I talked about, looking for money, and if possible also, getting into a position of leadership. On money side, it was running away from poverty. No one who grows in a mud house want not to run as fast as possible from there. Secondly, is about, we could look at people around and we want that kind of life. So chasing after that, running away from poverty, but also chasing a better life out of the experiences then. Because me, I'm those kind of people who, hapa KU, where umepita high school, ulipita ukapata B+. So where jua vile utafika campus. Jua vile utalipa first sem fees. Na ujua vile utasoma. So me from niingie KU, nililipa fee yangu yote, hata ya kuingia before help. Wenye help uchelewa, vibarua nini na all that. And even before that, nikiwa high school, holiday nachoma makaa huko kwetu Shags. Holiday zingine nilikuwa nauza mutumba hapa Thika to raise school fees. So hiyo kitu lazima sasa ujaribu kukibia bio kiasi, so that you move to a better, safer ground. And it has also shaped now the decisions that I make in terms of investing. Yeah. But the fundamental thing that happened, ilifanyika nikiwa first year hapa KU. Nikitafuta internship, nikajipata kwa former MP. Nilikuwa naenda huko kumtoanisha. Yaani kumuonyesha mimi vijana wote wako nyuma yangu, kama unataka kura za Kiharu, ukae karibu na mimi. So unajua makomrades venye mnacheza hiyo game. So mimi nilienda ofisi yake, nimebeba kabahasha ya CV. Because all the time kama sisi makomrades hiyo time, tulikuwa na CV mtu anabeba everywhere. So kuenda kumuona, alikuwa meeting. Secretary akaniambia niwache CV. Na mimi siko naenda kutafuta job. As it would have it, akafikiria nilikuwa nataka job, akanipigia simu later. Kijana unataka kazi? Of course. Ilikuwa long vacation nikiwa campus first year. I started working in a stockbroking company since that day. So hii story yote ya shares, hata nikifungulia kina Cyrus CDS account KU, nilisoma kwa Genye Kariuki, who was our former MP. So that also has been great, both on investment front, but also in politics. He was our former MP. I went for pupillage in terms of stockbroking in his farm. I do stockbroking today, and I'm MP. Those two things are not coincidences.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that. Now, before we open it up, as a Christian, Mheshimiwa, what is your comment on prudence and giving and tithing in relation to being a steward of resources?
I'll say this practically as a Christian, not for any other purpose other than to talk to a Christian who is here. And I'm sharing my thoughts. Me, I believe there is no money that belongs to me. And there is no wealth that I have, except which I have received from the owner of all things. So once you have that perspective, money can't possess you, but also number two, money can't own you, and you cannot obsess over money. I love the process of investing and all that because we are human beings, but not to the point of money possessing you. So when you're at that level, you clearly know that you received 100 and only 10 is required to progress the actual work of the owner of even the entire 100. So giving does not then become so difficult for you. And I remember one time when I was just kungangana, and I would call my vicar at home in our church and do what I needed to do. And it would seem like somebody is doing so much, especially given this is a rural church. I don't want to go into very deep details. But I'm just trying to say, giving for me, you don't give because you are actually being compelled. You give by knowing that all you have is actually not yours. And you've become so much gum. Umepewa pesa, umepewa maji ufikishie watu pale. But mikono yako inameza maji yote. Unaweza kosa kupewa hiyo kazi ya kupeleka hiyo maji. I hope you get what I mean. So when you know that this business for me is doing so good, it's not because I'm so special, it's a blessing, then you become very humble and you freely can release as much as the owner would want you to release.
Wow. Thank you. Ah. Is there anyone? So let's do this, okay? Let's have you stand up. So if you have a question, stand up, so that we know how many. All right.
Check 1, 2.
Okay, good. So let's do. I think we ask all of them, and then great. Okay. So all right, please go ahead, sir. 3. So let's do you, and then her, and then we'll come to you. All right? 3. Great. Proceed.
All right. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, Mheshimiwa, for the session. I always enjoy watching your videos. My name is Samuel Kagwe. I am the CEO of buybiashara.com. It's in the space of mergers and acquisitions. And you are a big advocate of investing in public markets. But as per my understanding, most of this wealth that we are talking about, as you have hinted, kidogo, is made when you invest before these companies go public. And then the most wealth is usually unlocked when you actually sell the business. The wealth is not so much through profits, but when you exit the company. But now in our market, this is not a very common phenomenon. I would want to hear your thoughts. What would it take to make secondary markets a major thing, to give it the right structure? That is the thing we are attempting with Buy Biashara, but I'd appreciate your insight on that.
Great. Thank you very much, sir. What's your name? Samuel Kagwe. Thanks. All right, Rosemary, there you go.
Oh, thank you so much for the opportunity. For me, I've learned so much. Thank you, Mheshimiwa, for coming. And I've never thought of shares as a space I can fit in. But I've started Googling how much would I need to, what's the minimum shares I can buy with KPLs, all that. And I believe that when you come next time, as you have said, then we'll have taken a step. So my question is in regards to your advice on employment versus entrepreneurship. So I've actually worked in both spaces. I'm a teacher by profession, actually a KU in this case. So we are comrades. So I've been employed for quite a number of years in the education sector, but I'm currently doing business. I run a school, of course, a community school, so to speak. When I look at what I'm doing currently, I honestly appreciate the younger years of my life when I was in employment, because through that, I learned so many skills that I'm using today to run my business. So in essence, I don't know, and is it possible? Okay, I know I'm older, but there are young people in this room. So I'm asking on my own behalf and on behalf of them. So, and then would it also be possible to be employed and to also run a business? Because actually when I began as a person, I was in employment then, but then I began, what I'm doing now when I was in employment. So I'm not saying I'm successful, but of course, I'm asking, what would you, because it's not easy for someone to start a business if they are green, they have no idea, they have no skills, maybe you can shed some light, because when I look at you as a person who I admire, you are also employed. You are a governor, number one. It's not governor, you are employed by the people of Kiharu, but you're also doing business. So I don't know, entrepreneurship, employment, and all that. Kindly shed some light. And yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. My name is Collins. I live around here, and I do business. I'm a realtor here. And I just have, my question to you, sir, is you might have ideas, but where do you get investors? In the sense that you have ideas on how you can put tarmac, but you need 100 million for you to put the tarmac. Where do we get these people with 100 million? Yeah, that's basically my question. Thank you so much for the insights, and God bless you.
All right, please proceed, Mheshimiwa.
I'll be brief so that we also get another round. Samuel Kagwe, I'm glad that you are already in business. In terms of exits, public companies, let me start here. There is more money to make in our market when you are buying a listed company than when you are buying before the listing. Because it is the market that has undervalued the companies. It is not the companies that are bad, it is the market that has undervalued the companies. For example, if you check Family Bank, you'll be listing later this month. It is likely to be more valued than Equity and KCB and DTB and the rest. Because there is more value for a company outside the market nowadays than in the market. And that is why my inclination now is to buy the listed ones, because they are so cheap compared to the private ones. So exits are two ways. Exit of a public company is basically giving a sale order tomorrow or Monday. You sell your shares and you receive your money after 2 days. Because Kenya operates on something called T+2, trading day plus 2 days. Now, I understand probably the exit you are talking about is the private one. Beyond the public listed companies, the other frontier is called private equity. Private equity is where there is a gridlock in exits. And the reason why there is a challenge in exits is precisely because when you buy a private company today, let's say you bought Family Bank, the best way to exit, because it's a lot of money, even if you are selling 5%, is through public market. And it is the public market that is undervaluing companies. So where you would exit in terms of an IPO, people are selling similar companies half the price. So that is the paradox, but also the opportunity. So that's why in this particular timing, if somebody told you to buy a bank that is not listed, you'd rather buy the one that is listed. The one that is listed is much cheaper than the one that is not. In terms of robust secondary markets, in fact, the reason why I talk about this everywhere I go is because our economy also can never grow until we have a very good, robust secondary market. It's not just a matter of investing, but also an issue of capital mobilization. When we have a robust capital market, you have a company, let's say, you have a manufacturing company doing mabati around the bypass. You'd literally come to the NSC and list under GEMS or the SM as an SME. So you'd raise money in the NSC instead of going to the bank to borrow money. But since our market is undervaluing companies, then companies are not incentivized to list. But it's also an opportunity for those who would want to invest in the listed companies themselves. Mwalimu, the place of employment and business. I agree with you that there are some issues that even me I learned by being in a company while I was still a student. How to handle employees, how to work with systems. I can't discount that. It's important. But I wish this can be learned through what we do before graduating is called what? Internship. I wish that can be learned through as a part of learning, not as a part of working. Because if I look at the characters who are giving examples here, they never got an opportunity to work anywhere. Zuckerberg, Elon, Google brothers, all of them, they learned by doing. They never learned by hearing and by observing. It's by doing. So that's a balance. In terms of being an employee, I agree. What I was talking about is being employed in a person's company. So my inclination is, and my thinking that I'm sharing with all of us, that dream job you're looking for is not in the air somewhere hanging. it is in a company somewhere. So I'm requesting us to go the notch higher. Who is this person? How can I be like them? In terms of the school, of the thinking opinion, if I'm to have a school today and start one, I would never look at a school in terms of just a school. I would look at what is my school offering that no other school is offering. Either values. The current parent in the current era would rather go to a school where a child will get a B+ and A values than where a person will get an A in papers and C in values. So I'll try to model it around there. That my school offers very superior value propositions that a parent ordinarily looks at it as like they are the ones bringing up their own children than just about grades. What more are you offering? That's what I look at. People pay school fees in this Nairobi of $1 million per term. What are they paying for? That's what I would look at. How can I make people pay more for going through a school? Secondly, how can I make this model one so good that the name is so good out there, even if I'm not making so much money, so that I can actually raise more money to have 10 of such schools across Kenya. And then from there, I can start making money out of the good name. Collins, that's a very good question. Ideas are there. Where is the money? I want to throw it back to you. Where you don't see people playing, or the field you don't see people playing in, is an opportunity for you to start playing in that field. It tells you there is a robust opportunity for Kenya when it comes to private equity and venture capital and seed money. So whatever you are doing, the money you make is an opportunity for you to start doing exactly that which you realize there are not many players.
Thank you.
A legislator. So from budget ya jana, we have a deficit of around 1.1 trillion, and it will be heavily financed from local borrowing. So from a legislative perspective, what can you people do so that the government doesn't lock out credit that is for the private sector to spur the growth of the economy? Swali ya pili is on power. Also from a legislative perspective, power is in any production, power is a major component of expenses. Actually, it's a huge expense. And the way to lock, we've locked ourselves with very expensive PPPs. Is there a legislative way that you guys can do to make sure priority, for example, KenGen sells power at, I think, 4 shillings or thereabout. The thermal PPPs do it at, I think, 50 shillings, and they have priority to supply to Kenya Power, regardless of whether we need the power or not. So as to spur cottage industries and to achieve, among other things, the Singapore, legislatively, how can you protect us so that power becomes cheap? We have the stories of, I was working in my father's garage, ama nilikuwa nafanyia kazi backdoor, I came up with this company. So legislatively, how can you protect us on that and on the first one from government crowding out credit for the private sector? Sante.
I'm Engineer Dennis Mushai Maina, and a business person, not employed at the moment. I quit employment because I'm well aware the future and progress is in business. And also an upcoming politician. Thank you so much. And Honorable Ndindi Nyoro, you inspire me so much in terms of your leadership and capacity. Now, my question is in regard to investment towards manufacturing. China is where it is right now because out of every 10 Chinese, 1 is a millionaire. And it's purely because China identified that opportunity in manufacturing, decided to venture into it. I believe Kenya is the hub towards the future of manufacturing, even as we look at a scope of Africa. even in line with your quote that Africa is our business. Now, as an entrepreneur and an investor, I have a manufacturing idea in the health sector, in health consumables. I've already identified a funding company, and all I need...
Please make it precise.
Yes. All I need is a joint venture investor. Now my question is to you, are you willing to come in as a joint venture so that we can push manufacturing? Kindly consider, I vied in 2022, and I think you are the reason I lost my seat. So, kurudisha mkono, consider that. Thank you so much.
All right.
Are there times that you have made money that you feel God needs to forgive you?
Shots fired.
Hello, everyone.
Wewe unajua vile utasema hiyo. I mwisho alafu tuende.
Hello, everyone. My name is Cyrus Ledivera from Juja. I'm an upcoming entrepreneur, and thank you so much, Mheshimiwa, and also Ray, for this opportunity for us to be able to interact. My question is going to be direct. There is this silent gap in entrepreneurial journey that is rarely talked about. It's the vulnerable phase between the early stages and where the self-doubt runs high, and also the results are also very minimal, despite a lot of effort. And also that gap between the transition of trying a lot and also getting the first leap. So my question is, what are the possible ways that you'll also advise on how not to bypass that phase, but how to be able to maneuver through that period? Thank you.
My brother, about all the things. Borrowing power. Borrowing 1.1 trillion, most of it domestically, basically is the government competing with you as a businessman on who gets the credit that's there in the banks. You know, banks don't do hugely scientific things. They are just the places where we take our deposits, which are called savings, and they allocate these savings to grow the economy. So they can choose to allocate to a thriving manufacturing company, to allocate to government through boats, to allocate to a young person coming up with an IT company, because they are the allocator of our deposits. When the temptation is there that the government is borrowing and the rate is the same and the risk is less, the bank will go to the bank, to the government, and let our deposits to the government. That is not a very good trajectory. More money, there should be a good balance between domestic and foreign borrowing, that which does not crowd out you as the business person. So I agree with your sentiments. The second one on power, I agree fully. The biggest tragedy with power cost in Kenya is private power producers. And you give a very good data-driven approach. If we make Kenyan a bigger company, that I was trying to say is that we live in Kenya today. So we see things. Ask yourself, you as a Kenyan, this person you clearly know they are amassing money, taking advantage of their position. When you look at them, do you think they enjoy that money? So when you now look at things in that lenses, it helps you as a leader that, yes, you can be out here making money as a business person, but there is nothing to gain by taking advantage of the position to make money out of it. Lastly, Cyrus, who is also an entrepreneur, I wish we can get business captains of the industries to answer this question to so many other Kenyans. There is a chance between, or the period between, you are trying to establish a business here, but there are the beginners' bottlenecks. Unfortunately, many companies don't go past that bottleneck. Bottleneck of, let's use a normal company we know, but that's not the kind of business that we are promoting. Let's say you open up a tips kiosk. The period between people knowing how your chips are tasting, whether you actually exist in the first place, whether unatumiaga mafuta mzuri ama ile ya transformer. Nasikianga watu wanasema saa zingine inatumika. Before people have faith in you and your tips, there is a period you are paying rent. You are paying the staff. You are paying overheads. But you are not making money. If you look at a company like Amazon, it went for years without reporting a profit. A profit. It got listed when it was still making losses, quarter after quarter. But Jeff Bezos was not pushed around even by investors because he knew where he was headed. He was headed to an area of big money on quarter per quarter, and for him to reach there, he needed to make do with losses where he was reinvesting all the money. Equity Bank, before it became the bank that we know, the founders had to go down in their pockets and pay salaries to their staff. In fact, there is one time I was having a chat with the founder of Equity Bank, Peter Monga. And he told me one time, a politician who they were not very close to, they were not friends. And that politician also was coming from the area he comes from. He was trying to build a thriving building society. You know, let's call them banks. It's where we take money. This politician went and picked up a microphone in Thika. Akaambia watu, mnapeleka pesa yenu kwa hiyo kitu na iko karibu kuanguka. And you know, for a bank, that is like putting udongo kwa milk. There was a bank run, a building society run. Of course, people going for their money. He had to use his money to pay up the people who are coming for their deposits. Because you know, in a bank, the money you took to Equity yesterday, they've already given it as a loan to somebody. So when you go for it, they have to wait for this other person to pay. That's how a bank figuratively operates. So when you have a bank run, when all depositors want money, but not all the loan holders are bringing money, that's what now we get a crisis called a bank, a run in the bank. So around that period, it is exactly what you are referring to. You started a company here. You know the way tulikuwa tunawasha moto kule Gishagi, unaweka majani, unaweka kiberiti, then unapuzilia kamoto. Kapate tu kamoto kidogo, unaweka tu kuni kidogo kidogo ipate ndio iende ikienlarge so that the real kuni now gets to be the generator of the energy. All businesses go through that phase. We used to pray kusinyeshe kama unapuzilia kamoto nje. So even in business there is that phase. Unfortunately, it's the most tight situation of a business. But once you go through it, it rewards. So if you are in that phase, jikaze. You may use all the savings you have, you may borrow from friends, but if you can tell the business is going somewhere, don't give up because of those challenges.
Amen.
Because you also develop confidence out of this.
Yeah.
Comrades, you have 1,000, 2,000. Nowadays, you can buy even one share in our NSC. From last year, Kitambo, you could only invest 100 shares in multiples of 100. Then the NSC lifted that veil. There is something we used to call odd lots. Odd lot is when you have shares below 100. Nowadays, you can buy even one share. So, it's good for comrades to start, not just to make money, but also to learn. So start with the slitro, it becomes your school fees to learn about investments. Stock market for the wealthy, nothing can be further from the truth. It is the other way around. It is where wealthy people are made.
Amen.
Not where wealthy people invest. You know, people say NSC or stock markets is for the wealthy people because there are many people who are wealthy who own shares. But they are wealthy precisely because they own shares. Charles, how to take Kenya forward? It will take me a whole day. But we need some structural changes in our economy. Our economy now is more agricultural based, but very low productivity, employing so many people. We need to move to more products which have more technology embedded in them. So I'm talking about manufacturing, more tech in both processes and products. Is a huge topic. So allow me not to go so deep into it because of time. Things about cost of power, which we have talked about before. Many, many things. I wish we can have time another day to talk about just that. Is there leadership without politics? Not in the Kenyan and in the country setup. Even in a church, you have a committee.
Yeah.
You usually have, in all denominations, you have wazee wa kanisa. Setting rules and making sure people are adhering by those rules. In the leadership of a country, you are dealing with people. Dealing with people requires you to be both political and also a leader. But the wholesome nature of it is that when a leader becomes more political than offering leadership solutions, then you end up being a person who exists as a comedian. Just to make people happy.
Yes.
Unfortunately, not many politicians can make good comedians. So it becomes a quagmire. When a person who is not gifted as a comedian wants to play in that field. When you are playing to just please people, you may end up making very wrong decisions. But on the other side, if you just want to make your decisions without listening to people, you may end up leading yourself. So you have to balance so many levers. I have to talk to you because I'm doing this project for you to benefit. I need to show you its benefits. On the other side, I need to show you why we may not prioritize what you want now. All that but has to have some element of politics, which is relating with people. But you also have to offer the leadership to progress the country, to progress the constituency, and to progress the people holistically. So both are important.
Wow, thank you. Mheshimiwa, any parting shot as we finish and then tumalizie hapo?
Yep. My parting shot is just to appreciate this evening. It was a very good evening for me, also learning from you, and to request you to forgive me. Sometimes I talk with so much energy when I'm talking about some of these things.
Oh, yeah.
So when you notice the energy that does not look to be very diplomatic, it's because something burns when I'm talking about some of these things.
Like yesterday.
Yes, because I totally believe that some of these things can put our country into a very good pedestal. And I keep thinking that we need to be impatient about some of these things. Investing in opportunities are so glaring. Not venturing too much into looking for jobs and to do much more in terms of creating the opportunities for ourselves and others. Some of these things, I may not talk about them so diplomatically because I feel something burning in me when I'm talking about them. So otherwise, I really appreciate. I'm happy to see Cyrus doing very well and being where we were supposed to be.
Yeah.
And also seeing all the faces around. And I also want to commit that I will not be in a hurry. As we take tea, we'll take tea together. Thank you very much.
Amen. Let's give him a hand. Hallelujah. Thank you very much. Thank